Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. Tonight I'm going to be doing a review of a drama from Denmark. You don't have to worry about subtitles. This is spoken in English. Released in the year 2011, directed by Lars, and this film is called Melancholia. And the story to Melancholia is as follows. From acclaimed director Lars comes the most stunning and compelling film of the year. Winner of the European Film Award for Best Film and the Cannes Film Festival Award for Best Actress. Melancholia is a beautiful film about the end of the world. Justine and Michael are celebrating their marriage at a sumptuous party in the home of her sister Claire and brother-in-law John. Despite Claire's best efforts, the wedding is a fiasco, with family tensions mounting and relationships fraying. And as Claire tries to maintain the party's celebratory spirit, Justine struggles against her own dark demons. Meanwhile, a planet called Melancholia is heading directly towards the Earth. So the movie does centre around the end of the world and impending doom, and the main two characters are two sisters. Now the film is told in two parts. Part one is told through the life of Justine, played by Kirsten Dunst. She's a severe depressive, and she's getting married. So the film opens at her marriage that is taking place at a very luxurious golf club that is owned by Justine's sister Claire, played by Charlotte Gainsbourg. And things are going really bad because the family that have gathered at the wedding, there's a lot of bickering. A lot of people don't like each other. And the wedding soon becomes a fiasco. So this is contributing to the downfall of Justine's mental health. And Claire, she's a very good sister. She's always trying to uplift Justine, but it's getting more and more difficult as Justine starts to, her demons start to resurface, and she is really struggling to hold them together. And then the second part of the movie, it does centre around Claire, and Claire's worrying because there is word that Melancholia, which is another planet, is heading straight for Earth. Now, if Melancholia collides with Earth, Earth will be obliterated because it's such a bigger planet, Melancholia. But Kiefer Sutherland's character, John, who is Claire's husband, is reassuring Claire that the planets are going to miss each other. So each sister have their own problems, and it all adds up to a very unforgettable climax. So what that climax is, I'm not going to give away. You're going to have to find that out for yourself, but hopefully I've done a good enough job with the synopsis to make you want to go out there and have a look at it. Now, my thoughts on the film. If you don't like Lars von Trier, if you didn't like his other films like Antichrist and so on, if you think he's self-indulgent, full of himself, pretentious, then this is definitely not a movie for you, because I do feel that this is by far his most ambitious and self-indulgent film that he's come up with. But usually that's a turn-off for me, but I feel that Lars von Trier, although he is very ambitious, he does pull a lot of his work off, and it actually works in this one too. But I can understand why a lot of people dislike this one, because you're either going to love it or hate it. It's got a very artistic flavour, and yes, there are parts in the movie that you feel he's trying a little bit too hard to be good, but as far as I'm concerned, I do feel that Lars von Trier has a very unique style, and he's bordering on a cinematic genius. Now, to start with, the thing I loved about the movie is something that a lot of people will hate. If you go into it thinking that this is going to be an apocalyptic movie, you're going to be very disappointed, because it's a very slow-burning film. And it does look at relationships and how we respond to certain events. But the best thing about the movie for me is that the whole thing about Melancholia colliding with Earth is a metaphor for depression. It follows Justine's struggle against this mental illness. Now, if you have gone through depression, you will really appreciate the way that the film is made. Lars von Trier says he is a severe depressive. A lot of people second-guess that because Lars von Trier has been known as a jokester. But I do feel that he does have depression because, you know, I myself am going through this, and I felt that the way the movie is, the metaphor that Melancholia is, I actually felt he really nailed the feeling of depression, and it's not often that movies actually do this. The acting was great. Kirsten Dunst plays a beautiful character. She's a very, she is a beautiful person, but at the same time she has a lot of dark demons, and I could understand everything that she was going through. I could understand the frustrations of the other characters towards her because of the way that she was acting. That's something that I've gone through myself. So a lot of the qualities in Justine's character I could actually relate to. So for sufferers of depression, you'll get a lot more out of this one than just an average viewer. So the average viewer, you might think that this is just dull, very boring. There's a lot of script, a lot of dialogue, but I do feel that the dialogue is going in a very progressive way, and it ultimately leads up to a very rewarding film if you're prepared to give it a go. Now, what I didn't like about the movie, I thought the opening to the film, it was very similar to Antichrist, but I feel that the movie, the opening in Antichrist was one of the best openings I've ever seen. So going into this one, I felt that Lars von Trier tried to do the same sort of thing, but it just really felt out of place. So it was a very disappointing start, especially, considering his start to Antichrist. But thankfully, the movie does pick up from there. I actually thought that it just keeps on getting better and better. Soundtrack was a little bit off. I thought it was a little bit too repetitive. I really didn't like the soundtrack too much. But then again, it wasn't a huge problem because thankfully Lars von Trier has enough unique quality to make this a very interesting film. But yeah, as I said, it's a metaphor. Melancholia, it's getting closer and closer to Earth, and I feel that that is really just a symbol for depression, for Justine's mind that is getting more and more intense with this sickness. And so I do feel that it's kind of like the end of the world for her, and not necessarily the end of the world for anybody else. It's really just a feeling of hopelessness, and that hopelessness is portrayed very well, and I feel that this is a very smart film. So as a result of all this, I'm giving it 4.5 out of 5. I do feel it's just a little bit off being a masterpiece, but it is certainly better than a lot of movies out there of the same kind. So 4.5 out of 5, another very, very memorable film from Lars von Trier. Alright guys, that's my review. I hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later. Bye.